I don't know. This seems like a new low. Winston Peters in parliamentary debate calling out another MP who is not originally from New Zealand and using that lazy racist line, "Go back where you came from." I thought we were better than that. Honestly, I thought Winston was better than that. But also interesting to see how the media, how the Prime Minister, how various protest groups have responded to this one. Joining me on the program now from Civil Liberties Group Pillar, Arian and Tashakkori. Kia ora, thanks for your time today.
Kia ora. Good morning, Andrew.
I mean, this it wasn't Winston's finest moment, surely. He's been in politics a long time. He was obviously a little bit rattled by some of the conversation, but if your default setting is to say to somebody who is from a migrant community, "Go back where you came from," then yeah, that's not a star moment.
No, certainly not. And anyone who was watching the actual clip, you can see that it was a moment of uncomposure. He wasn't very composed in the moment. And
Yeah.
of course, the topic of the debate was around the COVID vaccine, which obviously people have very strong feelings about. And so we had a moment where you would say that he probably just lost his cool.
Yep.
And we saw that in the comments that he made. And I don't think it's inappropriate to suggest that we should expect better from our MPs, not just Winston, but in general, whether it's on the left or the right of politics. We do desire that, there would be a bit of cordiality
Yeah.
for our ministers and our MPs.
It does say something about somebody's character when they are rattled, out of the heart the mouth speaks, etc. If that's their go-to line, then that is concerning, particularly when there have been accusations pointed at New Zealand First in the past that some of their policies are dog whistle racism. They're targeted at people who are concerned about too much immigration to New Zealand. In some ways, showing true colours here, some are saying.
Maybe. I mean, it's no surprise to anyone that New Zealand First is the party that is not particularly fond, if you want to put it lightly, of immigration, broadly speaking. And that moment was maybe an example of that. But I think it's an example, broadly speaking, of just the sense of outrage within our politics in New Zealand, both on the left and the right of politics, where we care so deeply about these things that we forget actually that there are individuals behind them, that there are policies that we can actually be discussing. And again, it happens on the left and on the right, and it's happened on this time on the right. But again, it just goes to this deep sense of outrage that we have, that we believe so deeply in the things that we believe, that we're willing to maybe use sharper words than we should.
Now, freedom of speech and all of that, and of course Parliament has an extra layer of protection. You can get away with saying some things in Parliament that you can't say publicly. However, I mean, Christopher Luxon apologised for being a bit grumpy to some Rotorua business leaders, pretty quick on the apology there, and yeah, a bit of debate on whether or not that needed to happen. Winston, quite a lot slower on the apology. He's more your double down guy, right?
Well, again, we've had lots of colourful language from New Zealand First just in the past 10 days. And it just keeps coming. And I find it amusing that the media finds it surprising, even after years and years of it.
Yep.
And that's not to, again, excuse the language.
No.
But this is kind of the outrage and the grievance, I think, that represents maybe a portion of New Zealand that maybe, maybe we should look for better answers. But I think people are grieved about certain institutions and certain establishments. And so they're more willing to let this go. I think we should expect better, but again, I don't think we should be surprised.
Now, from your point of view, I mean, you're part of a migrant community here in New Zealand, of course, originally from Iran. Does it land differently with you, do you think? I mean, this is the sort of schoolyard bully name calling. It's not parliamentary debate level,
No.
but how does that sit with you as a representative of a migrant community, Arian?
Well, the phrase "go back to your own country," I mean that's a classic racist trope. So people, it's not a term people haven't heard before. And so, look, if someone said that to me, I wouldn't appreciate it. But at the same time, I think we do need to look at immigration, and people have a concern about immigration.
Yep.
And I've come to New Zealand with a sense of gratitude. I love New Zealand and the democracy that we have, and the institutions that we have, and the culture that we have. And increasingly, I find myself to be a New Zealander.
Yep.
I wasn't born in New Zealand, and I'm very aware of that. And so I do feel that I am, in a sense, different, as are many people. But we need to look at this concept of immigration through, as a very wise man once told me, through the concept, through the lens of hospitality.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel for a long time that I've been a guest here in New Zealand, and it's good to be hospitable. It's good to bring people in. But in order for us to be able to do that, we actually need to look after our own home and build a society where we can actually invite people in. And if we're able to look at it through the lens of hospitality, we can, first of all, be more loving towards immigrants,
Yep.
but also interact with them in a way that is loving, both now and into the future. And so, yeah, look, we have a great democracy in New Zealand. We should be grateful for it. And we should hope that those who are coming to New Zealand are grateful for it as well.
And let's look at reactions to this. I mean, Winston Peters didn't apologise. Honestly, again, no surprises there. Possibly wasn't expecting it. However, the Prime Minister's been a bit slow on reacting to this one. He was faster on his own apology than he was in having that phone call with Winston. That is, Foreign Affairs Minister, I think, adds a certain saltiness to this. Do you think the Prime Minister could have or should have responded differently?
Well, I think people have come to realize over the past 3 years that the Prime Minister does not, well, he's prone to mix his words.
Yep.
As Winston is not, he is prone to mix his words. And so we've reached the point where he may and ah and have to ask his advisors before he speaks.
Yep.
Again, I have no qualms about saying we deserve and we should ask more from our ministers. We, as a culture, are suffering from a crisis of virtue,
Yep.
and we should have leaders who are actually virtuous, who are actually calling for things to be better,
Yep.
and not making things more difficult for us as a country.
Yeah.
And sure, the Prime Minister plays a role in that, the Foreign Minister plays a role in that, MPs play a role in that, we all play a role in that. So should the Prime Minister step in? I believe he will soon at some point and say something. I don't know if it'll make a difference, though.
Yeah, certainly. Hey, also wanting to look at public response from this, in particular a protest, and again, civil liberties, right to protest. That's an important part of a free and fair democracy. However, the protest involved beheading Winston in effigy. It was a mannequin in a suit. It was the head had a photograph of Winston on. It clearly was Winston Peters. Now, of course, Winston Peters says that this is an act of violence. This is a death threat against him personally. Was a line crossed, in your opinion? I mean, protest is one thing, but a dramatic demonstration of potential violence. Does this start to get a bit murky in your view?
I think it's completely inappropriate. Again, I'm not here to defend Mr. Peters or anything that he said, but I don't actually think that what happened crossed a legal threshold. I think it's lawful expression. Now, police, this is my personal opinion, police can look into it and the courts can come to a conclusion.
Yep.
I think it's lawful, but I think it's completely destructive and ugly behavior. And this is the type of behavior that leads to ultimately violence.
Yep.
Look, anyone who's lived longer than 12 minutes knows that in order to have a free society or just to have freedom as an individual, you have to operate within a set of constraints. Now, we've decided that in New Zealand and in our democracy, that those constraints are no violence,
Yeah.
speech, the contest of ideas.
Yeah.
But these guys are playing an incredibly dangerous game because they're saying, well, our virtue, our vision for the future, our moral high ground is so valuable and so important that we're willing to do these things that essentially enact violence.
Yeah.
And that is, again, an incredibly dangerous game to play because once you start playing it, the other side will start playing it again. And we'll lose a very, very, very fragile thing that we have built here in New Zealand. And that is a system that says, hey, your ideas fight and your ideas die, but you stay and you remain alive. And that's something we've built over many, many years. And to play games with it, I think, is completely destructive and should be condemned.
For some people, they said, hey, look, this was obviously parody. This was theatre. This was a response from the crowd, that no harm was done to Winston Peters or the mannequin, for that matter. This was to theatrically make a point, no harm, no foul, and it would be a bit of a stretch to say that watching this, people would be inspired or encouraged to physically attack Winston Peters, although stranger things have happened.
Look, just last year in October, I think, or November, it was someone went and threw a crowbar through Winston Peters' home. Uh, Even last year, someone threw a rock through an MP's car window.
Yeah.
There was a poll that came out earlier in the year that said 1 in 7 Kiwis believe that political violence is necessary to achieve, to get the country back on track.
Yeah.
And so sure, these things in and of themselves, or this specific act of the guillotine, does not harm anyone per se, doesn't hurt physically anyone per se. But again, I go back to the point that this is an incredibly dangerous game, a very dangerous game to play, because it shows, first of all, that maybe you don't actually have ideas that are worthy of being listened to. You might
Yeah.
not have ideas that are worthy of being heard and winning. And I think it's ultimately a manifestation of a spirit of pride that says, hey, again, the ends that I envision for this country are so wonderful and so valuable that the means of violence is acceptable. And again, this is not an acceptable thing to do. Sure, it might be legal, but I think I want to be the first to call it out for what it is, and it's a dangerous game.
Personally, I think for Winston Peters and for the protesters, we're better than that. There's better conversations to be had. There's better ways of protesting and making your distaste or your political opposition clear, without resorting to racist name-calling or mock violence. Arian, really appreciate the work that you do at Pillar and encourage people to find out more about the work of your organisation. But thanks for your commentary. Thanks for taking time to chat today.
Thank you, Andrew.